Hello, one and all, and welcome to episode 3 of The Slumbering Forest, brought to you by D&D Beyond's Roll in the Family, a great new D&D stream where we play 5th edition D&D with a bunch of families. That's right, we got parents and kids playing together. Can you even believe it? With me, as always, are our wonderful heroes of the Slumbering Forest. We'll go ahead and have you guys introduce yourself. With me, as always, is the amazing B. Dave Walters. Say hi, Dave.
Hello, 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 hello.
And who's your character you're playing today?
I am playing Hatch the Turtle Cleric.
Wonderful. And we have Dave's two amazing daughters. Say hi, Lexi and Kaylin.
Hi.
Lexi, who's your character you're playing today?
My character is Demora, and she's a tiefling paladin.
Extremely cool. And Kaylin, who are you playing today?
I'm playing Trinity, and she's a Wood Elf Angel.
Oh, so cool. We have also with us as well, Adam Bradford. Say hi, Adam.
Hey, Brennan. Oh, and everybody else. I am playing Barnaby, a satyr, or as he prefers, fawn warlock. And he has gotten the group into quite a bit of trouble already. So we'll see how that goes.
There we go. Warlocks are always trouble, man. And we have here as well, Adam's son, Mr. Luke Bradford. Luke, say hi.
Hi, I'm Luke Bradford, and I'm playing Talisman, the Sword of Sage monk.
Ooh, the monk from the far northern lands. We love to see it. And we have with us as well today, Miss Kelly Knox.
Hello, I'm Kelly. I'm playing Ren, a Circle of Stars druid.
Awesome. And with us as well is Kelly's daughter, Maddie Knox. Maddie, say hi.
Hi. I play Michael. He is the Grung Wizard. So he's a frog wizard.
Wonderful. We love to see it. Gang, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're so excited to continue this wonderful adventure in the Slumbering Forest. We'll get to the recap in a second. We just want to take another moment to say this entire stream is for charity. We are here supporting Direct Relief today. So please give everything you can. Direct Relief has been working for many, many years, providing direct support, materials, and all kinds of needs provided for first responders, people working in crisis management, and especially in this day and age, working with our healthcare first responders, getting them the things they need to take care of us, our neighbors, our families, and our loved ones. So please dig deep, go into those pockets, and help make their job a little bit easier for a really worthy cause. And hopefully you enjoy the stream, and thank you so much for watching. So without further ado, we dive into a recap of the quest thus far. The quest takes place in a wonderful land known as Lyra, where a series of realms have summoned the land's greatest heroes to deal with the threat of the Slumbering Forest, an enchanted place to the west of these lands, placed under a curse by the Dusk Queen 18 years ago on the naming day of the then infant prince Lionel of the Kingdom of Caverly. Caverly was swallowed up by the Slumbering Forest after the curse, but a prophecy foretold that a now adult Prince Lionel would return to save the lands. Here's the thing, the clock was really running down. So the different lords and ladies and various, the Master of Storms, the Wizard Zariah, she and her, the Prince Aemon of the Port of Sapphires, got together, summoned up the land's greatest heroes, which are the 7 wonderful adventurers you see before you, to go deal with the threat of the Slumbering Forest in advance of the prophecy not coming to pass, in which case the Slumbering Forest would overtake all of the realms of the waking world beyond. Ooh! Our adventurers met up. They made some alliances, met some of their friends in the Port of Sapphires, and also met what they, after being introduced by the gnomish advisor Zaceris, met a man who claimed and believes himself to be Prince Lionel, but is a little bit awkward, shall we say. Our heroes, not to be deterred, made it to the Slumbering Forest, defeated a bunch of plant monsters. Our Wood Elf Ranger discovered some tracks of someone making a fire in the woods. We came across Sir Alamanth, the guardian of the pathways, who Demora, as a fellow paladin and knight, made friends with and got some really key information about the various courts of the Fey Queens living in the forest. And our friends made it all the way to the the woods of midnight, where Barnaby the satyr dwells, to find out that Barnaby was maybe in more hot water than he imagined, as his hovel was attacked and destroyed by, almost destroyed by shadows, and then later destroyed by the wrath of the Midnight Queen, but thanks to some really brutal honesty on Trinity's part, the Queen spared the group and gave Trinity a key made of pure midnight magic. With no roof or tree above you, covered in dust, debris, and roots, we find our adventurers left here holding a magic key with an invitation to come to the court of the Midnight Queen. Adventure is afoot, and though you are out of immediate danger, some very important choices must now be made. I turn it over to you, standing together. The wind blows through the dark forest, and all of you are safe from combat and may choose what you now do.
That might have been my fault. A little bit. So I'm gonna apologize to you. I'm really sorry that all that happened, and I'm feeling like really, really tired right now. So like, is there a way that we can, I don't know, like rest?
I'm okay sleeping outside.
I don't think it's that safe to just sleep somewhere in a forest.
I bring my house with me. Oh, wait a second. Feel better. And hit everybody with prayer of healing for 15 points.
Incredible. So everyone heals 15 points of damage. Now you guys also notice that Ren and Barnaby, in addition to being their injuries heal, but Ren and Barnaby have also taken a great deal of strength damage. What's current strength are Barnaby and Ren at? Oh, Ren is at 2. Anyone who wants to can make a medicine check for me.
I will. 19.
It feels so good.
Ren, you can tell that you and Barnaby have been affected by necromancy. It's probably hard to even, with 2 strength, it might be hard to even be standing with your equipment right now.
I have a dirty 20.
Hatch, you can look over and see that Ren is like, to the point of just really drained. These shadows were so icy cold. It's like Ren sort of jumped into a freezing lake.
I'm just gonna sit down for a moment.
Yeah, I think it's time for a nap. I mean, just a small one. I'm sure. Just wake me up in, I don't know, 10 or 12 hours. We'll head on to the midnight court. It'll be just fine.
I'll try lesser restoration on Ren.
Wonderful.
Lean on me.
She does.
Lesser restoration, I believe, is going to restore all of this damage all of this strength damage right now.
I touch a creature, I can end 1 disease or condition affecting it.
Gotcha.
Blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned. I don't know what's actually been done to her, though, so I don't know if this will help or not. But.
I'm going to say in this instance, because you guys are about to take a rest, correct? Hatch, you move over, and Ren, you feel some warmth and strength return to your body, extending from the it's like years and years and years of stored reptilian sunlight somewhere in Hatch's shell. And for a second, you don't have to do that warm-blooded thing of having to produce your own body heat. The sun is powering you right now. You guys can go ahead, and if you would like, do you guys want to take a short rest or a long rest right now?
I'm thinking I need the long one.
Long.
Very, very cool. So you guys can all go ahead and take a long rest, full hit points restored. That strength damage goes away. You guys get your spell slots back. My only question would be, I have, just in case anyone's wondering, there's a cat literally right here. So if you see whiskers pop into frame, that's what that is.
We just thought you hadn't shaved today.
Metallica really wants to play. He just rolled up a character. You
I
guys,
just like to say you're already DM, but you get to roll with advantage on everything for having named the cat Metallica.
Seriously.
that's so wonderful. What you guys, what I would ask you guys is, are any of you going to keep watch during the night? Or are you going to hunker down in Barnaby's old home? I see Trinity raising a hand. So Trinity, you're going to keep watch. Awesome. Are you going to keep watch the whole night?
Is it nighttime right now?
Yes, it is nighttime right now. It's technically always nighttime here, but you also have dark vision, so you can see in the dark, and you should be okay.
Yeah, I will keep watch all night.
Well, it looked
Great.
like Talisman was volunteering to help also.
Oh,
We could do
Talisman.
a rotation of some sort.
Yeah, if you
I
guys
can help for half the night.
cool. If you guys want to split, that makes sense. So you guys will split the responsibility of doing those rests. Go ahead, each of you, Talisman and Trinity, and give me a perception check.
Wherever they're posting watch, Hatch is just gonna like come up next to him and just like retract into my shell right there. So that's where I'm gonna take my like you can just sit on him like a rock.
Box turtle up and just boop. Yeah, wonderful.
Barnaby is going to act like he's going to take a shift at some point in time. He's like, just after I get up, I'll be happy to do what, and he's going to sleep as long as he possibly can.
It's not true.
Amazing.
Ren is just out. She doesn't even make an attempt.
Trinity, what did you roll for your perception check?
I rolled an 18.
Very good. And what did Talisman roll?
22.
Awesome. You got Talisman and Trinity, you guys tag team, you halfway through the night, you high five so the other one can get some rest. You keep an eye peering into the darkness. You see once or twice in the darkness, nothing weird or dangerous approaches. But you see occasionally like a flittering of wings off in the forest, maybe like the silent movement of owls out in the trees, maybe a pair of like yellow eyes briefly way off in the forest peers out from underneath a leaf. These might either just be natural wildlife or perhaps in a place this magical, servants of the Midnight Queen watching as you sleep within her domain. I would say that you awake in the morning, but you certainly don't. Morning never comes here. So you awake at midnight, right when you went to sleep. As you all awaken, though, you had the benefits of a long, restful sleep, although perhaps some of you are troubled by strange dreams. After your long rest, what do all of you do as you awake?
I do some yoga.
Great. I saw a stretch from Ren there too. Maybe the druid and cleric both do some side-by-side paired yoga. That's wonderful. You guys stretch, get up. Yeah, Trinity, what do you do?
Trinity's gonna like practice like swinging her sword just in case he has to fight something.
Cool. You do some cool sword movements, do some forms.
Yeah. Talisman does the same as well.
Very, very cool. You guys like do some forms for a second, spar for a bit. You're feeling
Barnaby comes over while they're doing that and is just like somehow pulls out what looks like a little mug and is drinking some kind of, brownish morning liquid. And, he's like, yeah, that's good form right there. Yeah. You got to keep your elbow up just a little bit though. And, and he starts just giving them completely unsolicited advice on how to use a sword.
Michael, what are you doing as you guys all wake up?
He's going to take a small swim in his barrel.
You take a small swim in the barrel. During the big windstorm where the tree was ripped off the top of the home last night, a bunch of leaves and dirt and rocks got in the barrel. So it's in need of a good pool skimming right now. But otherwise, a nice quick dip in the water feels pretty good. Wonderful. So you're all ready to go. So you have this key. You know that the Midnight Court is a little ways off in the forest from here. It just remains to be seen if you guys wish to travel there or if there's something else you want to do instead.
Hey, Barnaby,
Yeah.
stop being so tricky.
I mean, it's kind of in the job description. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know why she's so upset because she's the one that gave me this power to trick everybody all the time.
Trinity saved your bacon.
I mean, she did, and I'm really grateful and everything. And I'm just kind of wondering, do we think that we still have to go and see her at this point? I mean, maybe this was just a mistake, and we can turn around and go to the place where it's always daylight.
No.
No, we have to. You know we have to.
I guess you're right.
Sir Alamanth
My best behavior.
Sir Alamanth said we had to see them all.
Yeah, what does that guy know?
You all head off through the forest of midnight, traveling through dark and murky trees. You see again leaves of black and red falling from on high. The wind blows cold through this place. I would ask you guys to make survival checks, except that actually, Trinity, the key that you were given by the Queen of Midnight after the fight seems to hum with a resonant energy. It almost rings very low and soft, like it's almost like a large bell hit very softly with like a padded drumstick, like just a boom. And as you move through the forest with it, you feel that it hums more powerfully as you move in a certain direction through the woods. Before long, you all arrive at the lip of a massive pit. It's sort of like almost like a quarry where this almost, quarter-mile wide yawning chasm drops into the earth. The sheer cliff sides, as you look down into this yawning pit, there is a switchback staircase, like only about like 2 feet wide, that zigs and zags down the cliffside. And at the base of this massive pit, you see an obsidian castle of like glassy, shimmering volcanic stone. And this black stone castle at the base of this pit. And you see that its towers spire up so that its tallest towers actually rise up out of the pit again and like sail a little bit into the canopy, or like above where the canopy would be of the forest.
I mean, we tried, right? We tried. I mean, we gave it an honest go, and no one is going to fault us for turning around at this point.
This seems pleasant.
As Hatch says, this seems pleasant. You see that a murder of about 500 crows takes wing from the trees and circles down into the windows of the castle. There is nothing left but for you all to descend. And now I'm going to need a group acrobatics check from everybody as you descend the narrow staircase.
Oh dear.
Buford, me and you gonna have some problems with this.
Buford looks and says, I'm wondering if I should even attempt the climb. I feel that my powerful...
I mean, maybe you and I should just wait up here.
Barnaby, I really feel like maybe you're going to be needed down there, but if you feel it wise to remain up here.
I didn't ask advice from a pig. I mean, I've devolved into something that's just taking advice from a pig.
So I'm going to need to know what everyone's acrobatics checks were. What was Hatch's?
18, not terrible.
Not terrible for Hatch. Look at that.
You
what
just gotta breathe. That's just like breathe.
what was Demora's acrobatics check?
Natural 20.
Ooh, natural 20. You're entering the underworld. You know this place. What was Trinity's? Oh, sorry.
Muted.
I didn't hear you.
Am I still muted?
No,
You
you're
got
good
it.
now.
You're good.
Okay, good. I rolled an 11.
11 is okay. What did Ren get? A 2. Oh no. And what did Michael the Frog get?
7.
That's my
7.
kid.
There you go. Love that. Okay. So this is a group check. So right now we have 3 successes, 2 failures. Lionel is also a failure. So we have 3 successes, 3 failures. We only need 4 successes. What did Barnaby get?
3 overall, but a 1 on the die.
Oh no. Talisman, this has got to be a success. What did Talisman?
Talisman, we believe in you.
Got a 19.
19.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you guys like it's like Hatch and Talisman and Demore. You guys like tie a rope. So the couple times that there's like a little slip on the staircase, you make it down safely. You arrive at the front gate of the castle. Again, huge obsidian gates. A halo of purple light gathers around the jet black key in your hand, Trinity, and you see same aura of purple light emanate from the keyhole at the front of the gate. What does Trinity do?
Trinity's gonna walk up to the door and put the key in the keyhole.
It's like a glove. You are able to unlock the door, and the moment you unlock it, the doors swing open. A group of about 20 crows flies directly at you, and moments before they strike, they congeal into one tall-looking fairy soldier. This is like they look kind of elven, but their eyes are just like jet black, and you see that there are like a pair of folded crow wings on their back. They have like feathered armor and a long spear. They look and say, "Bearer of the key, the Midnight Queen will see you now. Your coterie may accompany you." And the guard goes to escort you and your companions into the throne room. As you all follow the guard, you enter this wild-looking throne room. It is an orchard of jet black, leafless trees covered in crows, and you suspect these crows may be able to pull a very similar trick to the ones you just saw. There is yes, Hatch. Oh, yeah, sorry, you're muted right now.
As we're walking, I just sort of lean over to Lionel and I'm like, hey, maybe be quiet here.
Why? Are the crows going to turn to people again and hurt me?
Yeah.
Probably worse than that. I mean, they've been known to kind of pick skin off bones, that sort of thing. So maybe just
Oh no. Perhaps I can appeal to their love of birdseed. I could offer to get them birdseed.
That's a common misconception.
Oh, I hope I've not offended any of these crows. Crows, I'm sorry.
we said to be quiet, I think.
Yes, Michael.
Has it been an hour of him sitting in the water yet?
It has been, yes.
Okay, then he hops out because he doesn't need to be in it anymore. And he wants to make a good first impression.
You make a good impression by soggily leaving wet footprints on the stone floor of the castle. And you guys approach a throne. This throne is about 40 feet in the air with a spiraling, jagged staircase going around the throne. So it's like one stone spire of spiraling stairs leading up to this sort of, pinnacle of the throne on top. Sitting in the throne, she looks to be, again, about 10 feet tall. She's made of pure shadow, spiky black crown, long black hair. She looks about 10 feet tall, except that her gown drapes all the way down the 40 feet of the spire of the throne, sinks to the bottom, and spreads out in a spreading pool of flowing shadow that touches the darkness at the edge of the room. And you realize that you actually can't see walls or a ceiling in this space. She has one hand raised and a single crow sitting on that hand. She looks out and says, "Adventurers, travelers in the slumbering forest, welcome to the court of the Midnight Queen." She alights her hand and the crow flies off, and she says, "And to those denizens of the slumbering forest, I say, you have shown a great deal of courage, or perhaps foolhardiness, in showing your face here, Barnaby. Indolent."
Prefer to go with the courage one.
She sneers and says, she addresses everybody else, and she says, "Mortals and travelers here in the slumbering forest, do you know now that your first impression is a poor one? I have very little to inform my judgment of you, save for the company you keep, and I can assume only that you are not wise in your ways to truck with such a feckless and accursed fawn."
Well, at least she said fawn and not satyr.
Michael.
Michael was very disappointed he did not make his good first impression. He hopped out of the water for nothing.
Michael, you see that the Midnight Queen turns to look at you and says, "Wizard, you hang your head in shame. Have my words cut you to your core?"
I was trying to make a good first impression.
"I am sorry to say that attempt has escaped you. However, I am an immortal, one of the 4 Fey Queens of the realms of Lyra. I do not have the same mortal necessity to rely on a first impression. The passing ages of this world grind mountains into sand, and yet my life continues. So perhaps there is a chance for you to make a better second impression."
How?
"That's not my job to figure that out. You do something fun. Do something fun." She waves a hand at you. This is, I'm sure, very stressful for Michael to be commanded by a fairy queen to do something fun.
Can you cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter on her?
Does Michael want to do that?
Yes.
Incredible. Cool. Michael cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I am going to ask for a persuasion check with disadvantage.
I got 5 and 20.
Oh no! So you rolled a 5.
Well, plus 1, so 6. That makes a big difference.
Wonderful. The Queen of Midnight twists her hand, and the spell is countered and reflected back at you. I'm going to need you to make I believe, wisdom saving throw.
So do I just roll a d20 for a wisdom check, or is it different?
A saving throw is actually a different check. So you're gonna make if you see in your saves section whatever your wisdom save is.
Where is that?
That should be, if you're looking at your character on D&D Beyond,
Mhm.
you should see up near the top on the first page. Find this for you right now, and I can also just tell you what it is. So saving throws is upper left. See that little box labeled saving throws in the upper left?
Yes. Okay.
Yours is +4.
It is. Okay. 14 in total.
You roll a 14. 14, and is that yours? Is that better than your spell save DC?
Let me see.
It is. Yours is 12. So the spell's
Yeah.
reflected back on you, but does not affect you. You see that the Midnight Queen raises an eyebrow and says, "Given a chance for a second impression, you have attacked me with a spell. Very bold indeed." What does Trinity want to do right now?
Trinity says, I can make a better one. And she goes up to Barnaby and slaps him.
Oh my God. I'm going to say, okay, make an attack roll for Barnaby. So go ahead and roll a d20 and add 6. And I'm going to say
Barnaby's not going to resist. If that's
incredible.
I rolled a 17.
Barnaby, you take like 3 points of non-lethal damage, whap, across the face.
Hey, what's the big idea?
I'm gonna actually see how much damage Trinity does on her unarmed strike. You deal 5 points of bludgeoning damage. Trinity slaps hard. So Trinity, I'm go ahead and roll a persuasion check. Roll it with advantage. I'm gonna say roll this with like super advantage. So roll 2 dice. First of all, let me know what you get for persuasion on those 2 dice.
This works. Michael would be very offended that worked and his amazing spellcasting didn't.
Well, on one of them I rolled a natural 20, and on the other one I rolled a 14.
Oh my goodness. So Trinity pipes up and says, I know how to make a good impression. Trinity, you walk over. I'm going to say you slap Barnaby so hard that he goes prone. The Midnight Queen, who was just targeted with a laughing spell, looks at you slap Barnaby, and she looks like so high status. She's like very scary. Like she's all about shadows and stuff like that. You see that she looks at her eyes go wide, her jaw drops, and she goes, "Oh my goodness!" The hem of her gown, like a sort of tendril of pure shadow, goes under your feet, lifts you 40 feet in the air to bring you right next to her face. And she goes, "My word, you are the most precious elven creature I have ever seen in my life. That was amazing. You slapped him so hard he fell down. You're so good at slapping."
I mean, I went with it. I wouldn't have.
You see, she goes, "Barnaby, no one's talking to you, and you are mobbed by crows and lifted up into the branches of one of the trees." You see, she says, "My darling elven ranger, what is your name?"
My name is Trinity.
You see that she speaks. She gives you a very just like a little like off to the side of each cheek, gives you a little kiss on each cheek, lowers you back down to your companions, and she actually comes sort of like turns into pure shadow, where she's almost like liquid shadow, goes down the steps, appears in front of you. And even you can see kind of like alters her size a little bit, so she's a little bit less like imposing. She just rests her chin in her hand and says, "My word, it's just so lovely to have someone take my side for once. People always say Midnight Queen, and they assume I'm so wicked and terrifying because my realm is always midnight. I wasn't the fairy queen that made the slumbering forest. That wasn't me. So it's so lovely to have someone advocate on my behalf, and I feel so prescient for having given you the key to my castle. Trinity of the Elven folk, is this your first time in the slumbering forest, or have you come here many times before?
Well, I've come here many times with my friend Ren.
She looks over to see Ren, and she smiles at you, Ren, and says, "You are a member of the Circle of the Stars. This is true?"
Yes, and this whole time, Ren has just been looking at everything, taking notes about what she sees. And Barnaby got slapped. Some more notes about the trees. And so she finally looks up from her book.
That's amazing. She smiles and says, "Well, wonderful. Well, we are no stranger to the stars here in the realm of midnight. It is good to have you here as well, Ren." I see Michael has a hand up. What's Michael want to do?
Michael's still trying his hardest to make a good first impression. Casts Minor Illusion to write in the sky, "The Midnight Queen is awesome."
Go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage this time.
Yes.
Oh no, is that good?
I got 9.
You got 9. You see that the midnight. Michael, you're like soaking wet. Your wizard hat is super wet and dripping, and you cast an illusion to write, "The Midnight Queen is awesome." You see the Midnight Queen looks over at you and says, "Oh, thank you for the compliment, Michael. Trinity, tell me more about these trips to the forest." You see that she just looks at you and says, she says, you see that 2 crows land one on each of her shoulders. She listens to them both, and she says, "Yes, my darling birds tell me now that indeed you have come many times to the slumbering forest, although never before to my court. Why? Of course, I know those of the elven folk are not subject to the magic of sleep and slumbering, so this forest perhaps holds less danger to you than most. But why have you made so many trips here? What has been your quest in coming here over and over? And is it the same quest that brings you here now?"
Well, the times I come here isn't really a quest. I just like to hang out here with my friends.
Honestly, I get it. This place is great. I love it.
I mean, if you're going to hang out somewhere, nobody's going to come to this place. I mean, it's kind of terrible, you know.
Nobody cares what you think, Barnaby.
I mean, obviously. I mean, I'm scared of heights, and you got me up. I mean, these crows could let me go, you know.
The crows pick you up and fly you up even higher. And she says, "Do you want the crows to let you go? Do you want them to let go of you right now, Barnaby?"
No, that's not what I meant. You're always twisting my words.
I'm always twisting your words. I'm making a new
What is it
friend.
with you?
What's with me? Oh, I don't know. I'm an immortal queen that everyone's scared of. And finally, someone came and was nice to me. So excuse me for being excited to make a new friend.
I've been nice to you. I mean, I brought you some food the last time I was here.
Some food, Barnaby. And you see she takes a little box of chocolates, opens it up, and it's a bunch of just wrappers and chocolate stains. And she goes,
I mean, I left you at least 2.
"Yeah, the coconut ones, Barnaby." And she throws it away. Yes, Hatch.
I lean over to Demora and I say, "You're from the underworld. Maybe say hi."
Yeah, Demora, you see that the Midnight Queen's power definitely feels in that vibe of like the same kind of shadow magic, similar stuff to the underworld as you. If you wanted to approach the Midnight Queen.
What I'm doing is sort of like watching every like move of magic she makes to see like how much of it I know.
Give me either an Arcana or a Religion check.
I got 19.
19. Very, very cool. What you can observe with that is she is definitely incredibly powerfully magic. Like easily 20th level just sorceress, and then beyond that also has a lot of abilities just from being a fae creature herself. What you can also kind of tell though from looking at her is the Midnight Queen is the only of the Fae Queens that doesn't have like courtiers. There are just like beasts and spirits here that serve her. Her focus of the 4 Fae Queens is on pure magic itself. So she, even though the other Fae Queens are also magical, they have a lot of like champions and servants and a lot of other stuff they do. She's kind of like a hermit, which is what you kind of sense from her here. So a lot of her magic is like abjurative shadow magic. Yeah, Michael.
Can I try to convince Trinity to talk me up to her? I will not stop until she likes Michael.
Yes, I forget. Does Michael have the message cantrip or no? I forget.
I don't think so. He
No
has
worries.
Acid Splash, Friends, Mending, and Minor Illusion.
No worries. So if you want to like whisper something or talk to Trinity, go for it. What does Michael whisper over to Trinity?
Hey, can you tell her I'm awesome? All he's gonna say.
Completely up to Trinity what she wants to do with that information. Oh, you have a cat friend joining too. Wonderful.
Both of them are here. One's next to Demora and the other one's next to Trinity over there.
Perfect. This is a cat-heavy stream today. You see that the Queen of Midnight smiles and says, smiles at you, Trinity, and says, if you have truly come here many times before, because you have a love for this place, then you see she sort of raises an eyebrow and says, allow me, if I can, to make an offer. And Trinity, you have already proved yourself an exceptional judge of character. I have lived for many hundreds of years in isolation here. My sister's courts are more well attended than mine. However, this is because my servants, such as they are, Barnaby, have often left much to be desired. You see that she approaches you and puts a hand on your shoulder and says, if it would please you, Trinity of the Woodland Folk, would you consider becoming my champion and serving in some stead as a hero of my realm? This, of course, I would not ask of you your free will. You are free to leave my service anytime you wish. If I am ever to give an order or give a quest that you do not wish to comply with, there is no part of this that I will never compel you to do something other than what you wish to do. But if you would do me the honor of being my champion, I would give you free rein for you and your companions to travel through my court, and I would give to you a passing gift as well as one to bear the honor of my court.
Then Trinity says, yeah, I'd love to be your champion.
Trinity, wait a minute.
Got a new champion.
I mean, this was the same story she gave me, and look at where I'm at right
Too
now.
late, Barnaby. She said yes. The Queen of Midnight smiles. She says, I am so glad that you have come here. I did not think that anything could have drawn me from my wrath, but you are just so delightful. She looks at you and says, Trinity of the Woodland Folk, as a mark of your station as a champion of the Queen of Midnight and one who whose authority within the slumbering forest should never be questioned again, I present to you the Cloak of Shadows. and she presents this jet black cloak. It is completely matte. Like there is almost no shine to it at all. As you look at it, it almost looks like you're just looking at a black hole. It's like hard to, you can't even like see the creases in the fabric. It's so dark. But you see that there is a beautiful weave to it. It feels like almost like rich, velvety. It's like very warm. You also can tell as it moves through your fingers, it moves through them almost like water passing through them, where you could run full speed and this cloak would like never catch on branches or or like branches or thorns. It like would move seamlessly through them. And Trinity, you've got yourself a magical cloak, and the brooch is a symbol of the Queen of Midnight, so that you are marked as a champion of her court. This cloak will give you advantage on stealth checks, and it will allow you to, as a bonus action, once per short rest, you can go invisible and it won't break until you move. So you can go somewhere, and if you remain still, you can go invisible. And that's the cloak that she gives to you. Michael, yes.
Michael nudges Trinity and goes,
you see that the queen sort of raises an eyebrow and looks at Michael and goes, for a frog that just spent an hour in a barrel of water, this guy's awfully thirsty. Anyway, you see, yes, Hatch.
Hatch does his bow where he sinks into his shell again, both to Trinity and then to the queen. And he says, Your Highness, may I ask a question?
Yes, you may, companion of this.
Oh, sorry.
No, yes, but yes, you may.
I actually want to try something that's a little bit of a reach. Part of my background is I am a faction agent.
Cool, love that.
I'm actually a little bit of a diplomat / spy.
Awesome, very cool.
And I just want to kind of give her the high sign to make it clear that it's like I'm not simply a wanderer, you know.
Got you. Cool. She smiles and nods and says, yes, the mystic Hatch. Even to this far corner of the slumbering forest has your reputation preceded you.
It's only half true. Hey, your queenliness, we're trying to break the curse and save everybody, so we need to get to the dread Castle Demora. And supposedly this guy's important. And I do motion at Lionel.
Lionel speaks up and says, yes, your Majesty, Queen of Midnight. I am Prince Lionel of the House of Caverly. And I understand that you've just made the Lady Trinity your champion. Maybe that was a bit hasty. I'm actually the main. It's actually me. I'm the main guy. So, you see that the Queen of Midnight raises an eyebrow, looks over at Trinity, looks over at Hatch, and says, "Yes, having taken care of a reward for excellent service rendered, we have two pieces of business to attend to. What is to become of the feckless Barnaby? But for now, I ask..."
Got plenty of feck.
I'm so full of feck, you don't even know what to do with it.
The amount of feck present within the warlock Barnaby remains to be seen. Yes, Michael.
Michael nudges the Midnight Queen and goes, this guy, right? To Barnaby, trying to be like, oh man.
Go ahead and make just a flat persuasion check for me.
And Ren's in the background just taking notes and looking over at the cloak while all this is going on. Okay.
Better be the best roll. I got a natural 1. I got a natural 1.
You see, Michael, as you elbow the queen, you like elbow a little bit too hard, and she goes, "Ow!" I'm a full queen. Don't nudge me. You see that a bunch of crows pick you up, drop you in the barrel, and seal the top of the barrel on top of it. She goes, anyway, yes, Michael.
Did they touch my skin?
Yes, they did.
I have poisonous skin
Oh
since
no!
I'm a grung.
You see, I'm gonna roll something real quick. You see a bunch of these crows get really sick. She goes like, "Oh, gross! Is that frog guy poison?" Oh, hate that. Okay, well, there's always more crows.
I'll help your crow buddies later. We're kind of on a short timetable.
She nods and says, so that brings us to our first point of discussion here. What is your quest at present? You are here to attempt to undo the prophecy, and you have Prince Lionel here with you. So I suppose you've come here for some sort of boon. Is that it?
Oh, we don't think this guy's really the answer to the prophecy. And we want to know, since you can see through all illusions, all trickery, we brought him to you so you could tell us if he is legit or not.
She nods. You see her cast one very powerful divination spell, and then another, and then another. The first one she casts, she says, well, he's not covered by an illusion. He is as he appears to be. Does anyone want to give the Midnight Queen any information about Lionel? Yeah, Hatch.
I'll tell her everything. Like, literally, it's like, so he's not lying, but there's fey magic on him. And like, literally everything.
You see, she nods, goes, casts a spell, and she says, oh dear, dear. Yes, you have come to the right fey court first. She looks and says, there is fey magic present here. Powerful fey magic, though not the fey magic of a queen. There is an enchantment on this man. Lionel speaks up and goes, what? An enchantment? Yes, Hatch. Oh, you're just telling him to zip it.
No, I'm zipping it.
Yeah. You see that she looks and says, there has been a powerful enchantment spell put on this human being. Would anyone like to hazard a guess as to what the spell is?
Michael would, but he's in a barrel.
You can speak up in the barrel if you like. You can hear what I'm saying.
Yes.
Does Michael give me an Arcana check, Michael?
I should be good at that. Okay. Apparently, my dice doesn't like me, so.
So while Michael is trying to do this, I want to be very specific with what I'm trying to do. Like these crows have me suspended pretty high in the air. You said the throne was about 40 feet up, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I am hoping I'm within 30-ish feet of the throne. If I'm not, either way, I'm going to try to misty step away from the crows and make my way quietly up to the throne, where as this conversation's going on, hopefully she's going to just turn around at some point and see Barnaby sitting on her throne.
Go ahead and make a stealth check for me.
Okay.
And I got 12 in total.
Cool.
Just that bad.
Demora, yes.
I'm just I just decided I'd look up at Barnaby like struggling up there.
Awesome. Make a perception check for me, Demora. And as you're doing that, Michael, with a 12 Arcana, you're trying to think of what spell it could be. You know it has to be a powerful one. You can rule out, you don't think Lionel is mind controlled, which takes away a lot of the enchantment school. You don't think he's charmed or anything. Given that Arcana check removes those options, what do you think Michael's guess would be as to what the spell affecting Lionel would be?
some person lied really well to him.
As you say that, and let me go ahead and resolve this. Demora, yes.
I got 20 on that.
20 on it. What did Barnaby get for stealth?
20, dirty 20.
Oh no! Okay, well, the queen doesn't notice you, but Demora does. Demora,
Barnaby kind of like tips his fingers at her.
So Demora, you notice Barnaby sneaking up to the throne. You can do with that information whatever you want. Hatch.
Hatch leans over to Talisman and says, maybe somebody's watching him or watching us through him.
You see,
Smart.
you see that the queen looks at you and says, a very good guess, Hatch. But in this case, I'm afraid the wizard Michael is actually more correct.
Oh, not expect that.
You see a little pops out from the barrel. Trinity.
Is there any way I can like look up and see Barnaby trying to get over to the throne?
Make a perception check for me.
She's got people now, Barnaby.
I got a 19.
Oh, so you Barnaby's is a little bit too good, so you don't notice Barnaby sneaking. Only Demore does. You see that the Queen of Midnight says, yes, in fact, the spell that has been placed on our friend Prince Lionel is a spell to modify his memory. His memories of his life have been changed. You see, Lionel goes, I'm sorry, what? Why? How do you mean? She looks and says, I could, it's possible for me to dispel this if you would like. Would all present here agree that that is the wisest course of action?
You hear
See the
Barnaby
barrel?
from the throne just say, yep, we knew it. You're a fraud, kid.
The truth will set you free.
I'm not a fraud. You see that the queen dismisses the spell, and boom, Lionel's hit with the spell. Lionel looks up and goes, huh? Where have? Huh? Oh no! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh, I'm in a very dangerous place. I have no reason to be here. My name's not even Lionel. My name isn't Lionel. My name is Frederick. Oh, this is terrible. Oh no. Oh no. A gnome. A gnome came and told me all these things. What does everyone present here do in response to this information?
Was that
Michael.
guy's name Zezaris?
Yes! A gnome named Cesaris came. He said I was a prince, and I said, no, I'm a fisherman. And he said, no, you're a prince. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure I'm a fisherman. And then he raised up his hand, and then I remember the last week or so of believing that I have a secret emblem and that I had all these visions. Oh, goodness. My boat! I didn't tie up my boat. My boat's out in the ocean by now.
Yeah, that boat's gone.
Oh, this is so bad. This is really quite bad. Where did I get this armor? Oh, he gave me the armor. That's where I got it from. Oh, yes, Michael.
Can you try to get out of the barrel?
Yes, Michael, you can pop out of the barrel.
Yay.
When Michael pops out of the barrel, I do say that was very impressive wizardry.
Yes, the queen looks and says that was a very good guess, Michael. Trinity.
Is Barnaby still sitting on the throne?
Yeah, we'll actually cut over. So you see that the queen says Zesaris. Why does that name seem so familiar? And Barnaby, you get to the throne.
I'm sitting there completely relaxed. And if I notice that anyone starts to really, really pay a lot of attention to come around and pay attention, I'm going to use disguise self to look like Trinity.
Incredible. You see that the Queen of Midnight turns around. Yes, Michael.
Can he try to see through that so he can tell the Queen of Midnight so then she can like him?
Go ahead and make an Arcana check. We'll call this a DC 11 Arcana check for a first level spell.
Yeah. I got 12.
Hey, there you go. You see the Queen turns around, looks at Trinity sitting in the throne, looks down at Trinity down on the ground. What does Michael say?
He goes, no, that's Barnaby because you don't like him, remember? And I totally don't like him either.
You see that she looks and says, Wizard Michael, thank you very much for your knowledge of the arcane.
As she's looking there, I change into Michael the Frog.
You see that the Queen looks around and says, extremely good work, Barnaby. If you would like a little bit from me, you'll also remember that no less than 30 seconds ago, I cast True Sight on myself. So that's also something fun about the interaction we're having right now.
Listen, I wasn't trying to trick you. I'm just trying to be as good as you. I mean, you're the best when it comes to trickery and magic, and I just look up to you so much, my dear, dear queen.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check for me, Barnaby.
I'd like to assist.
Probably deception.
I'd like to assist. Like, he always says such nice things about you.
So you will make this roll with advantage, and I'll also
Ooh.
allow you to roll deception if it's not true.
Although Hatch thinks it's true.
It probably doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't make a difference on the roll, so I'll say it's deception.
Cool. As you're rolling that, Trinity.
Trinity says he doesn't say nice things about you.
That was a 26. 26.
That's a 26. Okay, Trinity says he doesn't say nice things about you. Michael, what are you doing?
Michael's still trying to win her over, starts mocking Barnaby.
Okay, cool. I'm going to ask, so, okay, we got the help action. We have a help action from Hatch. I'm going to say we have an anti-help action from Trinity and Michael. Out of curiosity, what was the other role that Barnaby did?
The other roll would have been an 18.
Okay, I'm going to say that the average of 18 and 26 is still what, 22? So
Math is hard, Brennan. I don't know.
Math is hard. You see that the Queen looks down and says, I appreciate very much your concern. And as always, Trinity, the truth teller, I appreciate you weighing in. You see that Michael waves his arms around and says, you see that the Midnight Queen looks over at you, Michael, and says, and Michael, you too, my goodness. You see that she gives a little eyebrow raise over to Trinity. She looks, with that 22, Hatch. I'm sorry. With that 22, Barnaby, she looks up at you and says, Barnaby, I appreciate that you, like me, are a fey creature. We are not like the mortals of this world. We have a nature that is intrinsic to us. We represent facets of the natural world. And as such, perhaps it was foolish of me to assume that a faun would prioritize anything above dancing, singing, sleeping, eating, drinking, and making merry. I will thus offer you this option. If you wish to remain in my service, you will change your ways and become as diligent and steadfast in your devotion to me as any servant must be. If this feels beyond your ability to accomplish, I will give you until the coming of the new moon, which is in 5 short days, to find another patron And if you cannot find one within those 5 short days, I will revoke your magic forever. What will it be, Barnaby? Servitude and loyalty? Or rolling the dice that some other soul will be as generous as I?
Do you think there's an option 3 in there somewhere?
You
Maybe just
little man.
Keep the magic and not have all the signing up for like turning over your whole life and everything. I mean,
Barnaby, there's an option 3. That's what I wanted. I specifically left out another thing that I thought would be good because I'm like that. I'm so stupid, right?
Listen, I didn't say you were stupid. I think that you're kind of like full of yourself just a little bit. So
what? She grows 20 feet tall.
Didn't mean it like that. Come on now. So listen. You said I got 5 days, right? That I can play the field and see how I feel about things.
If you take that option, you will have 5 days to find someone else. But if you don't find someone else, you will not have me to return to.
Oh, well, that's worse than I thought it was.
Yes, I'm making a very hard bargain.
Man, so I got to sign up for diligence? Is that what you said?
Diligence and loyalty on the one hand, or go and find another patron. But if you can't find one in 5 days, your magic is mine.
You drive a hard bargain, but I mean, you kind of did attack me in my home and almost kill my friends and all this other stuff. So I'm going to take you up on your offer. I'm going to find someone else in 5 days. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to kind of rub it in your face a little bit with my new magics.
You see she smiles and says, she says, well, in the version of this world where you find another patron and come back and rub it in my face, I suppose I will have my just desserts handed to me. However...
The coconut ones?
You see, she goes, Barnaby! You see, she says, I find it very unlikely that any patron will take you on, given your scant resume and the fact that your only prior reference will be decidedly negative. You see that she says, and besides, I'm enamored with a new champion. Yes, Trinity.
It's like Trinity's looking at Barnaby with a cloak on with this face.
Trinity's smiling. You see that the queen looks and says, "Oh, sorry, Hatch." Yeah.
It's I don't mean to interrupt. He just looks at her and just says, "Excuse me, your queenliness. Could I ask just one question?"
Of course, if you wish.
Why would Zazaris want to help Caverly, the Queen of Dusk?
She looks and says, that is a very good question. My sister, the Queen of Dusk, is extremely prone to sorrow, and it broke her heart when she was not invited to the naming day of the infant Prince Lionel, as myself and her other 2 sisters were. You see that the queen's brow furrows and she puts a finger on her lips and says, it was extremely strange. King Leonor and Queen Lorabelle of Caverly were extremely devout and were always painstakingly kind to the 4 Fey queens. The slight to the Queen of Dusk seemed to come from nowhere. It has always been a mystery, but there are many ancient rules and alliances between me and my 3 sisters for us not to interfere with the other's business. And yet,
just like physically rotating where she has to look at me and not be looking at Barnaby, like, yeah, wow.
I mean, maybe this Dusk lady's going to be signing up for new warlocks or something.
You see that the Queen of Midnight looks and says, there was a servant of the Queen of Dusk. Could that be? No. And yet, we must part ways now. I am going to go into my tower and research. There are some things you have mentioned here that strike at my memory of days long past, something in my sister, the Queen of Dusk's court. There may be more of a mystery to solve here than we have suspected. Perhaps there was more foul play in the downfall of Cavalry than I assumed. And yet I know you must make your way. In order to avoid the downfall of the prophecy, there is a possibility of finding a true answer to this prophecy yet, but you will need to be able to confront my sister, the Queen of Dusk, and yet she has not shown her face. She has been exiled to the Feywild for some time, but she may answer a call from all three of her sisters. And so I give this call to you. She reaches down, touches Trinity on the forehead, and you see Trinity, that 3 small black stars, the sort of like, those like 4-pointed little like diamond-shaped stars, like bing, 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 appear. It's a very subtle glyph that appears on your forehead. And she says, as my champion, in a time of need, you may call upon the Queen of Dusk if you wish her to appear, but you will be in great danger if she has not been called upon by all 3 of her sisters. Michael, yes.
While they walk out, because are we walking out now?
She looks and says, I am going to go research if there is a clue to follow here. Something with this Frederick, the human, this fake Prince Lionel, and the strangeness around the slight done to the Queen of Dusk in ages past. It seems also as though there is some thread I am yet missing, some other strangeness in the slumbering forest beyond my understanding or grasp, although I cannot be sure what it is. I will send my crows beyond here and research what I can. Are there any other questions from you, the assembled travelers here, before you go on your way? Yeah, Ren.
She looks over at Frederick and says, is there any way you can help him get home?
You see, she looks, and Frederick says, am I not on the quest anymore?
No, you are most definitely not.
You see that the Queen of Midnight, who has been very sweet because like Trinity is here, you see that the Queen says, what, he's a human. Does he not have legs? He can walk, right?
And says, you haven't seen this guy.
He barely can.
Trinity, yes.
Then Trinity says, actually, I think we should keep him. Might come in use.
What is bait?
Yeah.
Some cannon fodder for the front lines?
You see the Queen of Midnight actually raises an eyebrow and says, Trinity speaks wisely, for indeed only the 9 of us in this room are aware that this is not the true Prince Lionel. You see that Frederick says, yes, and I want to be clear, I am very willing to live a lie and become a prince. That's completely okay with me, especially because it's a very high likelihood that my fishing boat is destroyed and I no longer have a source of income. Prince?
Perhaps you can at least fish for us on the journey, because I really like some roasted halibut.
Michael, that's you.
Also, he agrees with Ternika, and he says he might, if we need to know, like his memories might come in handy, because he has memories of like the gnome and stuff. And also, while they're walking out, he turns around and he goes, wait, do you like me?
I'm going to say, because this is so important to Michael, make one last persuasion check with advantage. You may roll twice and take the higher of the 2 rolls. Let's see what this is.
6.
Well, sorry, what's that?
6.
6. You see, might say, do you like me? The queen looks at you. She smiles and she says, Wizard Michael, what is it about me that makes you so wish for my approval? And it's a genuine question. I'm curious to know.
He shrugs because he knows that for all the other queens, he's going to do the exact same thing, including the Queen of Dusk, no matter what.
You see that the Queen of Midnight smiles. You see that she reads this on you. She kneels down because you're so small, and she says, word of advice, Wizard Michael. Fae queens are very good at reading people, and everybody wants to feel special. When you look for approval, make sure it's for a reason that connects you to the person. My sister, she says, I understand wanting that sort of approval. My sisters might be less understanding. If you make them feel less than special, there will be consequences to pay, I assure you. And she looks and says, and also, as a passing courtesy, of everyone here, who do you think the most important person to seek approval from is? Again, an honest question.
He points at her because she's the most powerful.
She says, you are a very foolish wizard, Michael. The most important person for you to seek approval from, and indeed for anyone to seek approval from, is from themselves. And she points back at you. She's like, I don't need anybody. And Michael, neither do you. She gives you a little kiss on either side of your cheek and gets up and walks back into her castle, and the doors close.
I have poisonous skin.
I think
She's fully immune to poison.
I think Talisman was trying to say something there.
Oh, Talisman, go for it.
Mute.
Yep. Can I have the doors closed? Can I still
No,
say
you can
something on
absolutely
that
say
thing?
something.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I say to the Queen of Midnight, Talisman does, can we expect your sisters to be as relatively welcoming as you have been?
She raises an eyebrow and says, my dear Talisman, I'm the nice one. And the doors slam shut.
That's what I thought.
How did you get her approval so easily?
Is that being said to Talisman?
Yeah.
It just comes naturally.
Trinity.
Trinity says, maybe she didn't really like you because you attacked her with a laughing spell.
But she told me to. She told
No,
me
she
to.
didn't.
Yeah, she said, do something fun. Spells are fun.
That's a misinterpretation.
Hey, Michael, let me give you some advice, kid. All right, listen, I used to be a young fawn, and I really tried to please everybody. I was always trying to make everybody so proud of me, including that broad right there.
Well, that didn't work out.
You see how that turned out, right? I mean, she literally tried to kill me, and I had to just kind of drop her to go find another patron. So it ain't always a good idea to just kind of try so hard.
Less is more.
You see, you guys exit from the court of midnight. There is no danger as you walk through the woods now. Trinity's cloak kind of billows out, and you can tell this portion of the Slumbering Forest, the midnight portion, is safe for you traveling with Trinity at this point. As you all advance further into the forest, you begin to exit from the midnight court, and the question, you see Buford raises the question and says, So, from here, where do we advance to? To the court of midday or to the court of dawning?
I actually look at Frederick and I say, do you remember where he wanted you to go?
Where do I remember where Viserys, the gnome? He said it was very. He wanted me to accompany the seven of you and to return to the dread castle of Dinamore. That was his only. He didn't say much else. He just wanted me to do that. And he wanted me to very proudly announce myself as the Prince Lionel wherever we went to.
So he's tricky and wants you to go there. And yet, Zariah told us there may be nothing there to find.
Yes, I that's the best. It's the best I can do. I'm sorry, but Viserys didn't give me that much information, I'm afraid. Michael.
So, assuming he wanted to pronounce that he was the prince, one of them probably hates the prince. So he probably, because then it would make them angry and then he'd cause chaos. So can I tell him to not say that he's the prince? Don't just lie about it.
You see that he says, "You want me to lie? Or no, wait, you want me to tell the truth?" Well, very well. I'm very scared to talk to anybody in this forest anyway. Yes, Michael.
Also, if we thought like one area was a good idea, we should probably do the opposite of that maybe, because they wanted them to go with us. And so we would probably, I don't know, I feel like we should do the opposite of what, because then he won't.
I think that's really wise to say, Michael. But I think what we got to visit, what, 2 more? And then the dusk? Is the dusk going to be last or?
Yeah, I think we should go to Dinamore last. At least that's what the knight said. Sir Alamanth said, go talk to all 3 queens first.
And the Midnight said that if we summoned her without all the other queens, then she'd be real mad.
Yeah, you don't want to see her really angry.
Which one's closest? Let's go there.
Wonderful. You remember Alamanth saying that the court of midday is like a giant marketplace, and that the court of dawn is like a giant tournament ground. So between those two, you guys can head to whichever one you want.
Talisman, you've been studying this stuff for years. What do you think we should do? Because listen, I'm not saying that my judgment was that off, but I kind of told us to go to the midnight first, and maybe it wasn't the best idea. I mean, it all worked out, but
it did, because Trinity saved us. That is the only reason.
Perhaps, but
I personally have always been curious about the Court of Dawn.
Dawn sounds better than midnight. Yeah.
We got all these strong fighters. They'd probably like a tournament.
Awesome. You see that Buford looks around and says, very well, is the Court of Dawn is agreed to by all, the tournament grounds of the Queen of Dawn?
Yes.
Awesome. You guys begin to head through the forest. Go ahead, and I would like everyone here to give, let's actually do, anyone who wants to roll a survival check, go ahead and roll a survival check for me.
That is a natural 20.
Wow. Incredible.
I got 15.
15 from Michael.
7 for Ren.
25 overall.
7 for Ren.
16.
16 for Talisman.
17.
17 for Demora. Awesome.
Barnaby just kind of wanders and doesn't really survive.
What did Trinity get?
23.
23. Awesome. Once again, the slumbering forest poses almost no danger to you. All of you make your way through here. You pass an area getting towards the Dawn Court of these huge moss-covered boulders where there are not just like little rings of toadstools, but there are like loops of them and little trains of them going off through on these rocky places. It gets to an area where it's almost like this giant moss-covered landscape of boulders with little sort of ponds of dew. You see that there are little like toads, and you begin to see actual like fairies flitting around, like little tiny 1 or 2 inch tall pixies flying around, wearing little acorn caps. Ren waves to them. Trinity, yes.
Trinity is gonna say to everyone, now we just need somebody to be super nice to this queen and be friends with them, so we're safe in this place.
I nominate Michael.
Michael, yes. Does Michael have anything to say?
Michael acts cool, like he's trying to be noticed, but he's also not.
Love that.
Okay, so hear me out, Michael. I think this place likes fighters and Talisman's a great fighter. Maybe you should woo the queen of the marketplace of midday.
You see that as you advance through, you see these little fairies that again, you have to be looking really close to them to tell that they're fairies, because they could just be dragonflies or something that flittering around. You see that some of them smile. You see that as you move through, you see a couple like these sort of like cricket fairies that have like, they're almost like centaur. They're like 1 inch tall centaurs, but instead of a horse, it's a grasshopper body, sort of like springing around. As you move through this part, eventually you get to a part where the moss begins to fade, and you begin to see for the first time in the slumbering forest actual grass between the trees. You see this enormous like light tan stag gallop through the woods with a tiny little like shirtless fairy covered in like blue mud in spirals, like waving like a little jug. And you see other things. You begin to see like there's a pile of rocks near some trees that looks like it's in the shape of like a sleeping giant. And the quality of the air changes from sort of the sleepy slumbering forest to it's kind of like invigorating wind. There's more space between the trees here. And you begin to see like tattered, but like beautiful banners sort of flapping, tied to the trees, little like lanterns around, and you begin to hear like the stomping of hooves and clanking and the twang of archery, cheers going, big things of cheers going up. You enter a fey area here, which as you come out over this little lip, there's this colossal fairgrounds. There's a huge jousting lane, a big melee pit, huge tents of people like selling mead and haunches. You see that there is a spectacle box with like big daises. The fey creatures here are not little pixies. It is like centaurs and bugbears and ogres and satyrs. It's this like, you see that there are dryads, like sort of tree women here, and it is bright green and alive. The grass is fresh. There's a strong wind blowing to keep all the banners aloft. And you see resplendent in this green and white armor is a light green, kind of like leafy haired queen of the Fae, but she is like a battle queen. You see that she has like a giant halberd. You see that she has a huge wooden tankard of ale covered in moss. She houses that tankard, smashes it on the ground, and says, "Another bout for the champions of the Dawn Queen." Trinity, that's you. Oh, what are you gonna do?
Well, I just want to ask a question. Do the queens get along with each other, or do they not get along that well?
Give me a nature check. And actually, anyone here can give me nature or arcana if they want to.
I'll do Arcana.
I got a 14.
14. What did Hatch get?
17.
And what did Michael get?
14 for Arcana.
14 for Arcana. What did Ren get?
Dirty 20 for Barnaby.
Dirty 20 for
18.
Barnaby? 18. Cool. I would say that anyone that got a 14 or higher, you would know that the Queens, it's a complicated familial relationship. Like, siblings don't all, hey, roll in the family.
What?
The Queens have a lot of rules about not being able to mess with each other. Like if a queen wants to go to war, if a queen wants to turn a mortal into a deer, if a queen wants to XYZ other thing, they're allowed to do that as long as it doesn't mess with anything that belongs to another queen. They have lots of sneaky ways that they try to snipe at each other, mess up the other one's court, kind of go to war. But for example, if anybody were to attack one of the queens, all 4 of the queens would come to defend her. So it's this thing where it's like they are opposed to each other, but they're also deeply allied at the same time. And it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Hatch.
I raise thaumaturgy so that my voice booms, and I say, Queen of Dawn, we've brought 3 champions, and then I bless Demora, Talisman, and Trinity.
Amazing. You bring in 2 champions. Awesome. Go ahead and give me persuasion with advantage.
Thank the maker for that advantage, because one of those was a 1.
Oh no!
Let's see, that is dirty 20.
Ooh, so you announce them. You know, Hatch is a mystic. You're a cleric. You announce their presence here in the Slumbering Forest. The queen looks up, and you see all these fey beings, even the things that are kind of like mortals here, like ogres and bugbears. You get the sense that they're all like changelings. Like they all grew up partially in the Feywild, right? So the queen looks up, and by the way, you see that everything is illuminated. The sun is hanging just over the peak of the hill. So everything is like in that fresh dawn light. And you can tell that it is always dawn here. And you see the queen stands at her throne. Her throne is like permanently in like the box seats of this tournament ground. She raises her halberd overhead and says, "Courtiers of the Dawn Queen, behold 3 mortal challengers. Mortals, you honor us!" And you see that her halberd's up, huge cheers. And then what happens is all of the courtiers start chanting, "True death, true death, true death, true death." And you see she says, "Of course you honor us, for indeed none of the courtiers here can ever truly die on the tourney grounds, but to honor us with a true and mortal death in the battles here is an honor we can barely say thank you enough for. So welcome, eat, drink, be merry." And
as you turn around at this point, you see that Barnaby has like a turkey leg between each finger and is kind of like holding it like that, and he's got a couple of funnel cakes in the other, and he's got on like some kind of, I don't know, kind of paper mache, like, armor and stuff that they were giving out for free if you got the combo pack at all the stands.
Barnaby, it's amazing here. And you see too, I mean, this is not the marketplace court. So all this stuff is just for free. You just walk to the front of the, you get to the front of the line, help yourself. You're just enjoying it. There's like, you see that there are serving lads and lasses moving around, plying people with drink. It appears that there, in addition to like the main field stuff, there's like just sort of like pop-up boxing matches, like a ring will form around 2 people. It seems crazy here. You also, I'm going to say, notice no one right now is keeping books here. No one is taking bets on these fights.
That was going to be my next thing to talk about. So I realize that it's probably not a great idea to do this just openly, loudly. So I'm just kind of going around like feeling my way around a little bit, just to see if there's any action, but I don't notice that. And then I'm like, but do you want some action? And continuing to talk to people to take bets.
Amazing. So you start looking around for bets. You see that there are the lists where you can sign up for these various tournaments around here. But let me ask, well, let's go through, because the queen shouts and the people cheer, but there's no like formal, this is not like, these are fairy courts, so they're not very formal. So people just kind of like smile, nod at you, for the most part, go about their business. It's sort of up to you guys, kind of like walking into a carnival, what it is that you all want to do. So let's go around. Does anyone have an idea of what they want their character to do as they kind of enter the court of the Dawn Queen? Yeah, Ren.
Ren was still taking notes in her book again because she's an archaeologist and she's never been to these places. So she's, chronicling what she sees. But as soon as they start chanting true death, her pen stops in the middle of the air like, what did they just say?
Amazing. Hatch.
I actually gently take Trinity by the arm and head straight for the Dawn Queen.
You take Trinity by the arm, head for the Dawn Queen. Amazing. Cool. Michael, yes.
I follow them.
Follow them. Trinity, you're going along with Hatch to go to the Dawn Queen? Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Demora, what's Demora thinking looking at all this? This is kind of Demora's jam. It's like Demora is a knight, and this is like huge knightly tournament here. What is Demora thinking or doing as she enters the fairgrounds?
Well, I'm thinking I might want to join that, but right now we're trying to get to the queen, so I just follow them.
Very cool. I will say, Ren, you were worried about that true death thing. Go ahead and roll a nature check for me.
Barnaby goes up to Talisman and just simply is like, hey, you want like a last meal or something? And he's like offering him a turkey.
Just a 9.
I will eat my last meal at home. Thank you very much.
I'll say with that 9 nature check, right? You don't know super what's going on, but you do see in one of the tournaments, there's a guy at a table who you see there's this like giant sort of fey gnoll. Like the gnoll has got like sort of moss and algae in his fur, and he's got like cool wooden armor. You see that his body is like riddled with arrows, but he doesn't look to be in any pain or anything. You see he's sitting at a table, and you see that there's a dryad pulling arrows out of him, and he's going, ow, ow, dang. All right, takes a huge goblet of wine, drinks it, and a bunch of wine like spurts out of the holes in him. And he goes like, oh, dang, all right, I gotta get this fixed up. So you're guessing that like to the champions of this place, that it's kind of like fey magic, that like none of their wounds really hurt, and they're just able, it's almost like Valhalla, like they're able to just fight and fight and fight and have a great time, and nothing ever hurts or really has a threat to them, which is explaining that thing the Dawn Queen said of why it's super exciting for them to fight mortals. This is like a scary place. Cool. Demora's going to the queen as well. Barnaby's looking to make some books. What's Talisman doing?
Talisman, he's gonna walk up to the Dawn Queen as well.
Awesome, cool. All of you approach the Dawn Queen, and as you do, you guys are going to see. You walk up to the Dawn Queen. She smiles, looks at you. There are two people sort of like to either side of her. To her left, you see that there is this sort of like smiling, grinning, like Alagai, which is like sort of a horned, fanged, like dog yeti kind of thing, sort of furry. But you see that they have like a necklace of bones. They have a lot of stuff that's like sort of like indicates that they might be a druid of some kind. To her right is a giant armored bugbear with big mossy sort of almost like stone armor and a 5.5 foot long war hammer with like this massive maul. So you see that the queen looks at you and says, "Champions of the mortal realms, welcome to the great tournament of the dawn. You honor me with your presence. You," she points right at you and says, "you are Hatch of the mortal realm, mystic of the northern lands."
And I present Demora, champion of the underworld, and Eating, champion of Port Sapphire, and Trinity, champion of your sister, the Queen of Midnight.
You see that this queen looks at Trinity and says, "Champion of my sister, the Queen of Midnight, eh? Well, I suppose I should be worried for sneaks and scoundrels then, for indeed my sister is not bold enough to fight in the light of the dawning sun."
Hey, where's Barnaby?
Barnaby's off making books somewhere, I think, and eating.
Speaking of sneaks and cheats.
You see she looks at you, Demora, and says, "An eating champion of the Port of Sapphires, is that true?"
Yes.
What, you put away a pie or two, I suppose?
A whole turkey or something.
You see that the bugbear goes, "A whole turkey? Dang." And you see that she looks and says, "A whole turkey?" You can see she looks over and she says, "Orodont," and he speaks to the bugbear and says, do we have an eating contest here at the tournament grounds?" And you see that the ally guy steps forward and says, "My lady, I do not believe that we have an eating contest here." And she says, "A disgrace! This is the greatest tournament grounds of all. An eating contest is necessary. I will not be outdone by some mortal prince in a port of sapphires." You see that she slams her spear twice into the ground and says, "Make haste then! The greatest eating contest of all!" And you see that people start to go to work at it. She looks at you, Demora, and says, "I am sorry that you have come here and that my court has disgraced you, that your type of combat is not present here upon your arrival. Are you primarily a competitive eater?"
I wouldn't say primarily.
Well, then we offer it to you in either way. Then perhaps we can see some of your skill with that hefty blade on your back. She smiles to you and says, "What do you think of my fairground so far?"
I think it looks perfect for fighting.
Awesome. Go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage, Demora.
And then I say, "Talisman was my bodyguard from the frozen north. He's the fastest guy I've ever seen."
You see that the queen looks up at that and says, "The fastest guy you've ever seen? What, are you challenging me to a race? I'm faster than that."
Eventually.
You are amazing. Demora, what did you roll in your persuasion check?
23.
23! As you say it's perfect, you see she smiles at you and says, "Perfect. Well, you speak not only as a champion of the mortal realms, but of the underworld as well. So perfect goes a long way. Did you hear that, Orodont? The greatest fairground in any of the three worlds. We've done it!" She looks at you, Talisman, and says, "You mortal man think to challenge me to a foot race?"
Yes, it would be quite fun.
Go ahead and give me a, I'm going to say give me a persuasion check here, also with advantage.
I very much, I'm like, "Ooh, your highness, be careful. He's like greased lightning."
You see that she shoots a lightning bolt into the sky and goes, "Like that? Like how I can do that with my hand?"
But he does it with his feet, yeah.
You see, she goes, cool. What did Talisman roll?
16.
16, cool. You see, she smiles and says, "Very well. Foot race you want, then a foot race you shall get. She says, "Would you rather race me or the fastest runner in my court?"
The fastest runner sounds good.
She smiles and says, "Very well." You see that she calls over and says, "Jothra, come here." And you guys see that a tabaxi, but not just any tabaxi, a like cheetah folk tabaxi, doesn't come over. They just appear in a little puff of dust and skidding sand. And they go, "Huh, yeah, what's up, Your Majesty? I'm here. What's going on?" And you see that she says, "Jothra, you've been challenged to a foot race by this mortal man." She looks and says, "And the stakes? What shall the stakes of this foot race be?" You see that she says,
Did somebody say steak?
yeah, you see you're over in the line for stakes. You see she looks over and says, AKES stakes.
Honest mistake.
Did you say mistake? My steak?
Yeah, it's something like that. I'm enjoying your steaks.
Oh, good. Yes, the stakes are very high, so you should be enjoying them. You see the guy making the stakes lifts the stakes up higher and says, "Up here?" You see the queen says, "All right, enough with this foolishness." Amazing. So she says, "A foot race for the hero talisman." She looks over at you, Demora, and says, "And for the lady Demora, would you prefer which of these two contests?" And she gestures to like the table piled high with food, and then gestures to like the main ring, like the combat ring. And she goes, "Of these two, which would you wish to display your prowess in?"
I'll go for the eating.
You see she smiles. You see anyone make an insight check that wants to?
I will too.
Cool.
24.
Never mind.
Trinity, what'd you get?
I would a 12.
A 12, gotcha. Hatch, you are looking at this Alagai, this like furry kind of like mystic, and you see that something gives here. There's something weird going on. They look very suspicious of this group. Michael.
I got 17. Do I get to know the same thing?
On a 17, yes. You sense something weird as well. You see that Alaklasmi, which is this sort of Alagai druid, goes, "Your Majesty, Queen of Dawn, perhaps before the Lady Demora makes her choice, we should consider what the stakes of these challenges are." You see that the queen looks at you and says, "Yes, perhaps we should. For the eating contest, given that the stakes are so low, I will pass a boon to the winner of the eating contest, that they may never go hungry within the slumbering forest." Hatch, yes.
When I realize something shifty about him, zone of truth. No one can consciously lie, or I'll know if they're lying. Or I know. Well, actually, they can't consciously lie if they don't make the save. I know if they made the save.
Gotcha. On a natural 18, Alaklasmi makes the save. The Queen of Dawn does not, but burns a legendary resistance to make it.
But I got one out of her. 2 to go.
You see that the queen says, "For these mortals that have come to this place, what stakes would you wish? And in fact, what has brought you to this court? I assume you've come here merely to seek the greatest tournament in all the realms. You see, she says, what has brought you here, if not to seek this great tournament?
Hatch just elbows Michael.
We're on a quest. Even though everyone told him not to try to make a good first impression, he's still slightly trying his hardest, not as much as he was with the Queen of Midnight.
She says, what quest are you on?
This lady told us that Frederick over here, he points to Frederick, was Lionel, but he got lied to and his memories were weird. It's a very long story, but we're here to try to fulfill the prophecy. And we need your help.
And you need my help. You see, she sort of looks around. He says, well, you need my help to solve this prophecy. That's all well and good. Which lady told you to come here?
The storm.
Zariah, Master of Storms?
Yeah.
And Hatch would whisper in her ear, her name's Zariah, Master of Storms.
Yeah, Zariah, Master of Storms.
You see that the Queen of Dawn nods and says, Lady Demora, is this true? This is why you have come here?
It is true, yes.
You see that she sort of smiles and says, very well. Any who complete the eating contest will never go hungry in the slumbering forest. Any who win the foot race against Jothra may find themselves never able to have their feet stray from one of the paths of the slumbering forest. You will never get lost here. But if you have come here seeking a true blessing from me, you will have to defeat my champion, Orodont. And you see that the bugbear says, that's me. Boom, boom. So yeah, she says.
So hey, what if somebody were maybe in the market for like a patron to give them some magic and spells? Because I mean, I'm just kind of shopping around at the moment.
You see, she says, you are shopping around.
I am earnestly seeking someone's clear magical guidance.
Let me ask you a question, Satyr.
Fawn.
What's up? What'd you say?
Sorry, it was just kind of a sneeze or something.
Let's be very clear here, my hoofed friend. Are you now speaking to someone, or are you now speaking to the Queen of Dawn?
I think you're the Queen of Dawn. I hope that's who I'm talking to.
You're looking for a patron. What about me speaks to you? Why do you wish so fervently to enter?
I think it's your mouth that speaks to me.
All right, you got a big mouth, buddy. So let's try to put the money where the mouth is. After all, if you can beat me in a boxing match,
he's hiding all of his money that he's been collecting from people. When she says this,
you see, she says, "How about this? You, me, a boxing match. If you beat me, I give you spells. If not, I'm going to take what is it I would want from you? You don't seem to have much that I would want. But let me see.
Hey.
Oh, I know. If you win, you get spells. If I win, one of your companions has to stay here with me forever and fight until the end of days in my glorious tournament."
Barnaby looks at Buford.
Buford goes, me? Me?
I mean, I don't know if I mean, it's been a good run.
Trinity, yes.
Then Trinity says to Barnaby, I don't need that guy, and points at the fake Lionel.
Boy, that Midnight Queen's already rubbing off on you. I love it.
Frederick looks up and says, they have candied apples, but the outside candy covering is too hard and I've chipped one of my teeth. What are you guys doing over here?
Of course you have. Oh, man. I accept your challenge, Queenie.
She says, and who do you offer as tribute if you lose?
I mean, obviously the fisherman. This guy here.
You see, Frederick looks up and says, what? I'm being included? I accept.
Yes.
What have I agreed to?
Listen, if this lady beats me in a boxing match, you got to stay here forever. But it's way better than, you got to stay here forever, but you got all the candied apples that you want. You got all the steaks. Look at the funnel cakes over there.
I mean, the funnel cakes look extremely good, but actually, you know what? Now that I think about it,
it's a pretty sweet gig. I mean, I get magic or you stay here forever.
Okay, maybe this is actually not too much of an own goal for me. Maybe this is all right.
I love a win-win situation.
Michael.
Didn't we just all agree that we should keep him because he might come in handy?
Now is him being handy.
Exactly.
Incredible. So you see that the queen says, very well, a boxing match between me and this insolent satyr, a foot race between Jothra and the hero Talisman. The lady Demora shall compete in combat. You see that she says, well, there is an eating contest left, as well as a championship bout in the melee ring. Only the melee ring shall offer my boon, my blessing. So it's up to you. If none wish to compete in the melee, then that's fine, but you will walk away from here without my blessing. Hatch.
Wait, can we only do one thing?
You may do both if you wish, but there must be one champion at a time.
I lean over to Talisman and I'm like, you should super fight, man.
I think I will. Yes.
Do not throw away your shot, kid.
I won't.
Well, it's interesting, but I will chime in here and say that Talisman is much faster than Demora. What is Demora? Is Demora more in the mood to do the eating contest or to do the fight?
I am more in the mood to eat because I'm very hungry.
Cool. So Demora's going to do that. So yeah, if Talisman wants to do the one-on-one fight, Talisman can absolutely do that. Awesome. You see that the queen looks at the other heroes here and says, there remains yet a foot race if you wish to engage in that. There is also jousting, archery. You see, points over and says, we also have a summoner's circle for those of you capable of summoning.
Trinity is very fast.
Awesome. Michael, what's Michael interested in?
Can he do jousting since he's a frog? So he can jump high? Wait, no, that's the wrong thing. Never mind. I thought it was like vaulting.
Amazing.
Pole vaulting, yes, let's do that.
They
have a pole vaulting contest.
I don't know why.
What kind of tournament is this?
What kind of tournament isn't it?
Amazing. So Barnaby, Talisman, and Demora are all spoken for. The rest of you can sign up for other contests if you would like. However, I will also say to like our full spellcasters like Ren and Hatch, there's not like referees here. So there's definitely a chance to also like do some shady spell casting on the side to kind of like push a combat in the right direction if you wanted to.
Hey, listen, I'm a lot faster than I look. So if nobody's going to do the foot race, I'm going to get in on that action too.
Trinity.
Trinity says, I'll do the foot race.
All right.
Awesome.
I'll be the team medic.
Awesome.
Michael can referee.
Michael wants to referee. Awesome. Great. Michael will referee. And Ren, what are you doing?
Yeah, Ren's gonna hang back and see if she can help during the events.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Well, amazing. So you see that trumpets start blaring, gongs start being rung. There's big boom, boom, boom drums. Big lines of centaurs come out. You see that Buford is actually going to go enter the joust as one of the steeds. So there's like a big contest. The Queen of Dawn stands up. See, the Queen of Dawn takes off her armor. She's just in like this light green tunic. You see that she takes this like gauzy, like leaf wrapped fabric around her knuckles, starts like wrapping her knuckles up, and says, "Behold, the Queen enters the tournament as well. Everyone gather! It is dawn yet again in my court, and the tournament begins anew!" That is where we are going to stop for today's episode. Come back to see the grand tournament next week on the Slumbering Forest. Make sure to check out Direct Relief and donate. Follow the link to donate. And yeehaw, gang, we'll see y'all next week. Woohoo!